in Palestinian aid. Russia accuses West of attempting to block Ukraine peace talks. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for tuning in. You're watching World Today with me, Daryl Baptist. Malaysia has approved an additional 100 million ringgit in aid to ease the suffering of the Palestinian people. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stressed that Malaysians would never abandon the Palestinian struggle. The government had first pledged 100 million ringgit in 2023, and the latest commitment would double the total contribution.
Kita telah luluskan 2 tahun yang lalu 100 juta ringgit. Malam ini saya siarkan kerajaan Malaysia akan beri dana 100 juta ringgit lagi.
The Prime Minister made the pledge in a special address during the Malam Himpunan dan Selawat Malaysiaku Bersama Gaza gathering at Dataran Merdeka last night. Datuk Seri Anwar also delivered one of his strongest condemnations yet of the Zionist regime, accusing it of orchestrating a man-made famine in Gaza.
Saya umur 78. Saya pernah lihat, baca dan dengar di zaman baru ini, mutakhir ini, manusia sekejam itu. Ini Netanyahu dan kelompoknya memang kurang siuman. Zalim.
Tens of thousands gathered at Dataran Merdeka, many dressed in white and holding placards with the slogan #GazaBangkit as a show of solidarity. Datuk Seri Anwar also launched the Sumut Nusantara Convoy, a multinational effort involving 8 countries including Malaysia, Indonesia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and Thailand. The convoy will set off in 2 groups on the 31st of August and 4th September, travelling via Spain and Tunisia before joining the global flotilla bound for Gaza. The Israeli military has bombed the Yemeni capital, Sana'a, as tensions in the region continue to escalate amid Israel's war on Gaza. It was reported that the attack on Sunday targeted an oil facility and a power plant in Sana'a. Israel said it also targeted a presidential palace in the Yemeni capital, which it claimed is located on a military complex. At least 4 people were killed and 67 others were injured in the attacks. The Israeli strikes came 2 days after the Houthis claimed a missile launch against Israel, part of a campaign that the Yemeni group says aims to pressure Israel to end its atrocities and siege in Gaza. A Houthi military official said the group's air defenses were also able to neutralize most of the Israeli enemy aircraft participating in the aggression and force them to leave. The Government of Change and Reconstruction in Sana'a also called the Israeli attack a war crime that aims to hurt Yemenis and create a fake victory by showing columns of smoke above Sana'a. The Houthis were quick to reiterate on Sunday that the Israeli attacks will not deter the group's military operations in support of Palestinians. The Gaza Strip can no longer support another round of civilian evacuations because its shelter capacity has collapsed. More than 2.4 million Palestinians are facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis as Israel threatens to launch an offensive on Gaza City in the Strip's north, home to more than 1 million people. In a statement, the Enclave's media office said, since Israel announced it would allow the entry of housing supplies, such as tents, into the Gaza Strip, only about 10,000 had been delivered, accounting for about 4% of the 250,000 tents needed. This shortfall, it said, highlights Israel's delays and control over the flow of emergency humanitarian aid. Currently, Israeli restrictions on international organizations have left the Gaza Strip without essential supplies, plunging hundreds of thousands of displaced people into severe hardship. With the Israeli military now controlling about 77% of Gaza, the southern part of the enclave has no space left for safe evacuations. Any new round of civilian evacuations is deemed nearly impossible and life-threatening. The notice called for immediate, effective international action to prevent the Israeli military from seizing Gaza City and urged the unconditional, urgent delivery of relief supplies. The Israeli army on Sunday expanded its ground operations in and around Gaza City, pushing tanks into residential neighborhoods under the cover of airstrikes and artillery fire. The Palestinian death toll in the Gaza Strip has risen to 62,686, with 157,951 others injured since 7th of October 2023. Gaza's health authorities said in a statement on Sunday that over the past 24 hours alone, Israeli offenses in the enclave have killed 64 people and wounded 278 others. Since Israel resumed military operations in Gaza on the 18th of March this year, 10,842 people have been killed and another 45,910 injured. The Israeli Security Cabinet on the 8th of August approved a plan to take over Gaza City, a move that sparked opposition and condemnation both at home and abroad. A statement released by Hamas on Sunday said the group strongly condemned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's approval of the plan to take over the Gaza City, which came after Hamas had accepted a new ceasefire proposal put forward by mediators. Hamas said the decision showed that Israel was deliberately hindering efforts to reach a ceasefire agreement. The Gaza-based media office said in a statement on the same day that against the backdrop of a threatened Israeli offensive on Gaza City, more than 2.4 million Palestinians are facing an unprecedented humanitarian crisis. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation, also known as OIC, has emphasized that the declaration of famine serves as a critical alert regarding a multidimensional humanitarian, political, and legal crisis that necessitates immediate and exceptional international intervention. The OIC has called for the implementation of all available international emergency protocols to facilitate the rapid, secure, and unimpeded delivery of humanitarian and food assistance to civilians in the Gaza Strip. The OIC insisted on the necessity of referring the situation concerning the blockade-induced crimes and orchestrated starvation, along with the resultant famine in Gaza, to the International Criminal Court. The OIC urged the global community to embrace its legal, political, and moral obligations by taking robust actions. This includes imposing sanctions on Israel by halting the supply or transfer of military equipment to it, and bolstering international justice mechanisms to ensure accountability for its violations. Furthermore, the OIC has reiterated its call for the international community to pressure the Israeli entity to immediately cease all forms of aggression and its siege of the Gaza Strip. This includes opening all border crossings, ensuring a continuous and sufficient flow of humanitarian aid, and enabling the operations of United Nations agencies, such as UNRWA, to meet the immediate humanitarian needs of the Gaza Strip. Over on the Eastern European front, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused Western countries on Sunday of trying to block peace negotiations to end the Ukraine conflict after a flurry of diplomatic activity appeared to stall. US President Donald Trump has been championing a bilateral meeting between Ukrainian and Russian presidents, but both sides have blamed each other for not wanting the talks to come through. Lavrov slammed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky for obstinately insisting setting conditions demanding an immediate meeting at all costs with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. Lavrov also accused Ukrainian authorities of attempts to disrupt the process that was laid down by Presidents Putin and Trump, which has yielded very good results. On Friday, Lavrov said no meeting between Zelensky and Russian counterpart Putin was planned. Earlier last week, Zelensky, for his part, said Russia was trying to wriggle out of holding a meeting. Zelensky has signaled willingness to meet with Putin, but only after his allies agree on security guarantees for Ukraine to deter future Russian attacks once the fighting stops. Earlier on Sunday, Russia and Ukraine exchanged 146 prisoners of war from each side after mediation by the United Arab Emirates. Ukrainian President Zelensky, writing on the Telegram messaging app, announced that the exchange had taken place. Footage released by the head of the presidential office showed smiling returnees hugging each other and talking on mobile phones to their loved ones. Most of the prisoners released on Sunday had been in captivity since 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine. Among them, former mayor of Kherson, Volodymyr Mykolaienko, freed after being held in Russian captivity since his abduction in April 2022. Mykolaienko was abducted a month after Moscow troops entered the southern Ukrainian city. At first, he was held in Kherson, but after several months, he was transferred to a penal colony in Russia. Mykolaienko had refused a 2022 prisoner swap, so another seriously ill Ukrainian prisoner of war could be released instead. Since then, the Russian side excluded him from the exchange lists. Coming up next, South Korean prosecutors file arrest warrant for former PM Han. South Korean prosecutors on Sunday filed an arrest warrant for former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, accusing him of aiding ex-president Yoon Suk-yeol in declaring martial law in December and later lying in court. A court is set to review the validity warrant to detain the 76-year-old career bureaucrat in the coming days. If approved, it would be the first time in South Korean history that both a former president and a prime minister are imprisoned. Former First Lady Kim Kyung-hee is also behind bars on share manipulation charges. Prosecutors requested an arrest warrant against Han on charges including aiding the ringleader of insurrection, perjury, fabricating official documents, and damaging public records. Yoon's stunning 3rd December martial law declaration saw armed soldiers deployed in the National Assembly, but was swiftly voted down by opposition MPs, leading to his impeachment. Yoon was formally removed from office in April by the Constitutional Court, which ruled that his martial law declaration violated the Constitution. Han assumed Yoon's post as acting president and was once seen as a strong candidate of the Conservative bloc to run in a snap election. He resigned from the role in May to pursue a presidential bid, which soon collapsed when Yoon's party refused to nominate him as its standard bearer. South Korea's President Lee Jae-myung left for Washington on Sunday after talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba in Tokyo. Lee is due to meet US President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday for their first summit. Left largely out of the frantic trade talks that culminated in an unwritten deal last month, questions over the future of the South Korea-US alliance and the approach to nuclear-armed North Korea will be a key part of the White House discussions. A thorny issue for Lee may be Trump's push for Seoul to pay significantly more for the 28,500 US troops stationed in South Korea as a legacy of the 1950-1953 Korean War. On his first official visit to Japan since taking office in June, Lee met Ishiba at the Premier's residence in Tokyo on Saturday to discuss bilateral ties between the East Asian neighbors. This includes closer security coordination with the United States under a trilateral pact signed by their predecessors. Japan and South Korea also share common ground on trade, with both agreeing to 15% tariffs on US imports of their goods after Trump had threatened steeper duties. The United Nations Security Council will vote Monday on the future of the Blue Helmet peacekeeping mission in southern Lebanon that has faced US and Israeli opposition. The Council will vote on a French-drafted compromise that would keep the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, also known as UNIFIL, in place for one more year while it prepares to withdraw. The Council would signal its intention to work on a withdrawal of UNIFIL with the aim of making the Lebanese government the sole provider of security in southern Lebanon. Under a truce that ended a recent war between Israel and Hezbollah, Beirut's army has been deploying in South Lebanon. Lebanon has been grappling with the thorny issue of disarming Hezbollah with the cabinet this month, tasking the army with developing a plan to do so by the end of the year. Under the truce, Israel was meant to completely withdraw from Lebanon, though it has kept forces in several areas it deems strategic and continues to conduct strikes across Lebanon. The resolution would extend the forces' mandate until the 31st of August 2026. It was not clear if Washington, which wields a veto on the Security Council, would accept the compromise language. Ahead of the vote, a senior UN official said UNIFIL had facilitated the deployment of 8,300 Lebanese Armed Forces troops to 120 locations. The troops were assisting with logistics, funds, and even fuel, as well as training support. We now move away from war and instead towards weather updates. Spain is enduring its most intensive heat wave ever recorded this August. According to the country's state meteorological agency, AEMET, the first 20 days of August were the hottest start to the month in over 6 decades. Provisional data shows average temperatures from the 3rd to the 18th of August were 4.6 degrees Celsius above normal, breaking the previous record of 4.5 set in July 2022. The 10-day stretch from the 8th to the 17th August marked the hottest consecutive days in Spain since at least 1950. 11th, 16th, and 17th of August now rank among the 10 hottest days ever recorded in Spain since 1941. Since 1975, Spain has seen 77 heat waves, with 6 of them pushing temperatures over 4 degrees above average, and 5 of those happened since 2019. The impact has been deadly, with Spain's daily mortality monitoring system estimates the heat has contributed to more than 1,100 deaths this year. On top of the heat, Spain is battling its worst wildfire month on record. More than 400,000 hectares of area, 5 times the size of Singapore, have burned. 4 people have died, and over 30,000 residents were forced to evacuate. While most have now returned home, multiple fires remain active as of Sunday. Over in Pakistan, rescue teams on Sunday urged residents of villages along the Sutlej River in Pakistan's Punjab province to evacuate immediately due to rapidly rising water levels, though many villagers were hesitant to leave their homes, livestock, and belongings behind. According to Provincial Disaster Management Authority, PDMA, the Sutlej River has reached a high flood level of 129,866 cusecs at Ganda Singwala, prompting authorities to issue a high alert for the region. Over 19,000 people have been evacuated from flood-prone areas in the past 24 hours, with rescue operations ongoing in districts including Kasur, Okara, Pakpatan, Bahawalnagar and Vihari. Muhammad Akbar, a media coordinator for the Rescue 1122 service in Kasur district, said teams were prioritizing voluntary evacuations and providing transport. Akbar said that while some had left, many residents remain hesitant, adding that forced evacuations had not yet been initiated but could be necessary if water levels continue to rise. The national authority said floods across Pakistan have killed 785 since the monsoon started in late June, warning of 2 more rain spells by 10th of September. Elsewhere, more floods swept through a suburb of Yemen's southern city of Aden through the weekend in what is believed to be the worst natural disaster the area has seen in years. Torrential rain late on Saturday caused the valley of Al Haswa suburb to overflow, submerging homes and cars and isolating entire neighborhoods. Drone footage captured the scale of devastation, with floodwaters engulfing Al Haswa and neighboring Bir Ahmad. Floodwaters also swept through residential areas, collapsing structures and submerging vehicles. Residents waded through muddy waters, salvaging what little they could. Some attempted to flip overturned vehicles, while others worked tirelessly to clear debris from their homes. The government urged citizens to exercise caution, especially in flood-affected areas, avoid valleys and flood channels, and refrain from traveling on slippery, muddy roads. Yemen's severely deteriorated infrastructure, weakened by more than a decade of conflict between government forces and the Houthi group, has intensified the flooding's impact on residents already facing fragile basic services. Venezuela in the weekend started a nationwide conscription registration for militia, a move officials said is aimed at strengthening national security amid growing tensions with the United States. The country's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, announced the campaign, describing it as a voluntary mobilization effort initiated by Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. The conscription plan includes training in logistics, strategic resource management, and civil defense preparedness. Lopez said that the recruitment is not mandatory, but rather a nationwide mobilization that is entirely voluntary. Its core objective is to ensure that every Venezuelan citizen who wishes to participate can receive training and contribute to the defense of the nation. The militia is a part of Venezuela's national defense system, which encourages civilian participation in military-style organization and training. The registration drive came in response to the recent military maneuvers by the United States in the Caribbean under the pretext of fighting drug trafficking. Still to come in sports, Son Heung-min scores first MLS goal on second American League appearance. A stunning first MLS goal by Son Heung-min was matched by a Logan Farrington equalizer just shy of the quarter-hour mark as host FC Dallas and Los Angeles FC played to a 1-1 draw in Frisco, Texas. Son, starting for the second straight match, ensured his first MLS goal was a memorable one. After Los Angeles was awarded a free kick not far from outside the box, the South Korean international laced a blistering shot, past Dallas goalkeeper Michael Collodi for a 1-0 lead in the 6th minute. The Los Angeles lead lasted about 7 minutes though, as Farrington tied it in the 13th minute. The Dallas forward collected a Patrickson-Delago pass, ventured into the scoring area and fired it past LAFC goalkeeper Hugo Lloris to tie things up. It was Farrington's 5th goal of the season. Los Angeles, seeking back-to-back wins, had several chances to produce a match winner late in the second half. In the 88th minute, Dennis Buanga's shot deflected off a Dallas player and off the crossbar. Then, in the 7th minute of second half stoppage time, Collodi made a spectacular diving save on David Martinez's attempt on goal. Collodi finished with 5 saves for Dallas. Lloris was credited with 1 save. Still on the MLS, Thomas Mueller's penalty kick in the 14th minute of second half stoppage time lifted the Vancouver Whitecaps to a 3-2 home win over St. Louis City SC. It was the first goal in the MLS for Mueller, the German star playing just his second match with Vancouver. He got his chance after a video review detected teammate Matthias Laborda being tripped in the box by Mickey Joyner. Mueller stepped up to the spot and wired a shot just under the crossbar, enabling the Whitecaps to get the full 3 points from a match they trailed deep into the second half until Daniel Rios equalized in the 79th minute. Conrad Wellham's foul on the Whitecaps, Ali Ahmad, set up the tying goal. Sebastian Berhalter took a free kick just inside the penalty box on the deep left side, and Rios rose above a defender to flick the ball on a header into the right corner. Vancouver carved out major advantages in shots and possession time, but St. Louis was able to make the most of its relatively few opportunities, taking a 2-1 edge in the 73rd minute. Sunbing Jeong fed a beautiful ball to Zhao Klaus down the pitch's middle, and he converted with a spinning lefty kick from the box, his 8th goal in the last 12 fixtures. Ducati's Marc Marquez has delivered a masterclass in the Balaton Park circuit, winning the first Hungarian Grand Prix in 33 years to secure his 7th straight sprint and main race double, and stretching his championship lead to a commanding 175 points. KTM's Pedro Acosta and Aprilia's Marco Bezzecchi joined Marquez on the podium on Sunday as reigning champion Jorge Martin came 4th, his best finish on the Aprilia since his return from injuries. Gresini's Racing's Alex Marquez, 2nd in the championship behind his brother, could manage only 14th place after an early fall on the opening lap. Against the picturesque backdrop of the largest lake in Central Europe, pole sitter Marc Marquez lost the lead on lap 1 to drop out of the podium position, but his tyre strategy proved decisive. Having clinched his 13th sprint victory of the season on Saturday, Marquez had another good launch to lead into turn 1. But Bezzecchi took the lead on the next turn as Marquez made contact with the Aprilia and lost speed to drop to 4th. Bezzecchi and the 2nd place Franco Morbidelli were on soft rear tyres, while Marquez was on the podium compound, or rather medium compound, with the Spaniard easily climbing to 2nd once his tyres were fully warmed up. Although Acosta had Marquez in his sights, the 6-time champion found another gear towards the end of the race and extended his lead to more than 3 seconds to secure the victory. And that wraps up World Today this time around. In our top story, Malaysia approves additional 100 million ringgit in Palestinian aid. For business news updates, do join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 or saluran Berita RTM. Till then, my name is Darren Baptist, Malaysia Madani, Rakyat Disantuni. Good day.